Welcome to a new episode of the Advancing Consciousness series with Franco. This is a place where people can come to gain further insight and clarity as to what is going on and how we can shift things on a personal and global level, while also accessing higher levels of consciousness and awareness. We bring this series to you free of charge so that many are able to access this information. And if you resonate with what Franco shares and you would like to support his work, contributions are welcomed and greatly appreciated. A link is in the description and will be provided in the chat if you feel guided to do so. Also, we have many previous workshops, such as the most recent, Actualizing Beyond Your Current State to Live Your New Reality, along with our membership program, Let's Talk About You, where like-minded people come together bi-weekly to talk about the topics requiring deeper understanding and clarity. All of these are available on Teachable, and we encourage you to check them out as they are great resources at very affordable prices to assist in better understanding this human experience. The Teachable link will also be provided in the chat and description. And lastly, don't forget to share. As more of us are coming together and creating a shift in oneself, the more effective it will be to shift things globally. Thank you for joining us and being part of this change. Enjoy today's broadcast.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Advancing Consciousness series. Today we get to play with episode 86, and we're going to play with something dear to you, which is basically the key is to stop giving your power away. And we're going to really look at what that means. We're also going to look at what power means and the associated partners with power, which basically at this point in time is your own free will, your own sovereignty, and your own true self. All of it is all tied in together. So welcome. We get to play together, and thank you for the opportunity to play with you and to give you this opportunity for all of us to expand as we access more of ourselves, we remember more of ourselves, and we go to the next level of play, which is something really amazing and that we love to do, and that is play. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank everybody for the beautiful contributions that have come in to assist us. If anyone doesn't know, we're now in a position where we're going to have to move in a short while, and we're going to be looking for a new place at this point in time. And of course, a little bit craziness in Canada, making the selections very limited and the prices quite crazy. So we're going to have to really work through. And of course, we've already put our request to ourselves, to the highest aspects of ourselves, and what people call the universe or nature, to be able to assist us through all of this at this time and allow us to do the transition. We will carry on to do these episodes until about the end of September, and then we will have a break in between because we're going to be in transition for a while, and we're going to be setting ourselves back up in our new location. So we may provide certain things beforehand, but we're not sure at this point in time how that's all going to play out. But we're still on for the time being. And I'm just going to do something here. There we go. Okay. Just noticed something was running away there on the internet. But anyways, so today we get to play with something that a lot of people do not realize, and that is giving our power away. What does that mean? We're going to look into that right now. So to really bring things into space, we understand that we are beautiful facets of expressions that have come here to play. And yes, play is a very powerful component. Playgrounds are all over the place, but this playground that we're in right now is quite unique and quite attractive for many of the devoted souls that wanted to take a ride on this playground, the playground we call Earth. But it doesn't stop with just that playground. We're also talking about this particular series of physicality, which was designed and put into place 15,000 years ago and had gone through some modifications some 10,000 years ago, which we are now reversing that part of it and doing it in a very rapid rate. And for us, many of us, as much as it may seem challenging as we're going through these so-called purging processes, reactivation process, upgrade process that we go through and are going through, but also to be able to access more of ourselves, to really tune into more of ourselves and shifting away from a disconnected version that was all software driven, which we call the artificial intelligence and ego software, to a whole self aspect of yourself as embodiments, full embodiments of your, first of all, your home frequency, which is your soul's highest frequency that has developed through all of the incarnations on different playgrounds, in different physicalities, through different dimensions, and also different parts of within our galaxies. So all of that. So that's the first part. The second part, we're now accessing and bringing forth more of our true source essence as source, as the creator, as the created and the observer of creation. But in all of that, the main focused power source that we have is pure love, pure essence. Love is creating through consciousness, and that consciousness is not stagnant. It continues to grow bigger and more, because that is our design. We, from core sense of sourceness, as what we call the spirit of source, which is source in creation, source in exploration, source in expansion. And that's what we have taken on. So we are now here on this playground we call planet Earth, which is the playground that best suits you, and you have selected. You have selected to be here and to be participating specifically now. You have gone through many, many layers and levels of preparation. You have dived in to the human experience, which was the modified human experience, the inverted human experience, just to get the best experience from that, to learn from it, and to be much more powerful in the navigation as we go to the true sense of yourself in that component. And then, of course, we are basically embodied, a beautiful entity that has had many, 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 many lives and on this playground, and of course an upgraded innate consciousness of what we call the extension of Gaia. But in all of that, not only is it the extension of Gaia, but also our beautiful 12 different DNA strands coming back online, receiving more information, more levels of consciousness, more variants and spectrums of light that are the makeup of all that is existing at this time. So here we are, we're bringing everything to the next level of play, and we are doing it and navigating it in a very powerful way. We are stimulating it in such a fashion that we are bringing it to what people call neck breaking speeds, but in essence we are ramping it up because we are more ready and we have made a commitment. It doesn't matter, no matter what, we are going to move forward in a powerful way. Now, some of us will bring it forth to a certain level and may choose not to be participating throughout the whole, and we can also choose where we feel more natural for ourselves at the time, as we both embody, or you embody more of the organic 3D or organic 5D as your true playground. And of course, all of the stuff that we're purging right now, all of it that we are clearing out, was all of the old selves, all the old versions of creations and projections and so forth, and all the things that we've adopted that was very ingrained in the inverted matrix, very ingrained in the inverted 3D, 2D, and that's what we're doing right now. So let's get to play. Let's do that. All right. And we have our lovely phone ringing away there. Okay. So, the key. How many times have we heard the key for something? It is what unlocks ourselves, what unlocks anything at this point in time. The key can be a key that is cut out a certain way that you put into the lock and you unlock. The key can also be codes that you put in, and it's like a combination that will unlock. Those combinations are what allows us to access. But what are we accessing? We're accessing ourselves at a completely different level that we have always had and always available, but we've kind of locked it up. We've kind of put it aside. We've kind of said, okay, we're not ready to play with this because we want to have a deep experience of a disconnect, of an unnatural state, to be able to play, and not only play, but also see how deep we can go in. And the thing is, too, we've also agreed to come here on the planet and to kind of put aside, turn off access to our multidimensionality, to our different layers and layers of what we call human incarnation in the last 15,000 years, but also our multidimensional incarnation. So we've turned all of that off to kind of get immersed and lost in the current, or what was considered the current, because the current is always upgrading now, especially more than ever, to get into it. So now we're looking at the key. And the key is to stop giving your power away. Many of us are doing that. Pretty well, all of us, to one degree or another, we are doing that. That power is self-direction. That power is your self-creation without utilizing any other inputs outside of ourselves that we in some way gave power to or empower to. Now, the thing is, we have to understand we can never, ever, ever lose power. But we've created an illusionary experience of being disempowered, being disconnected from our own self-guidance, self-navigating, self-design. Now, we're still designing. We're still the ones that plug in any part of it, but we're not using that inner guidance. We're not using all aspects of ourselves. And most of us, and if not all, have been focusing on creating an experience based on not only what we see, what we've adopted, what others have been telling us, what we have been in some way surrounded by and adopted as a way of life, have adopted it as something that is the way to play the game. That is the only way I can feel part of the game. And we've all adopted it to one degree or another for any period of time. And some are right up to this moment and are just starting to come to that realization. And now you're going through the process of reversing it. So we've all given our power away in many, many, many facets. And we're going to cover that. And we're going to take a look at how we do so. So the very first thing, how are we giving our power away? But we're not also giving our power away. We're also giving away what looks like our free will, sovereignty. We're giving all of it away. So what is our power? Our power is our creative power. Free creative power. Free navigational, self-directed creating power. Now, as much as that is still active, like I said, we are taking in inputs and deciding or using the external outputs to navigate, or in this case, use our creative power to create something. So what are we creating? Are we creating freely? Are we creating through your own self-direction, as your own self-expression, as your true beingness of who you are? Or are we creating from programs? And that is what most of us have done, is created through programs and everything that we've adopted. And the same thing relies to what we call free will. Now, free will, I've said it before in other episodes, free will exists and always has existed, and it cannot be removed and never was at any point in time. In fact, on this playground, the free will is massively expanded without any restrictions and barriers. But what have we done? What we've done is we've given our power away. We've also given ourselves our own free will. But let's take a look at what free will is. Free will, like I said, it always existed. But how much of it have we shaped our free will and taken action using our free will based on something outside of us? Something that is not our true essence. Because we're a very unique blend. We have not only the consciousness of Gaia, the consciousness of all our 12 beautiful beings that are contributing to this physicality, the consciousness that has been gained by our human entity in multiple incarnation, and our multidimensional soul that has gained all of that through all the different playgrounds, different experiences it had, putting all of that in, but then realizing that the level of free will having, we've put all of that aside and said, okay, without really consciously aware of it, how do we use our free will? And then we are dictated how to use the free will. We've been taught how to use our free will. And then because we're so immersed in using how we've been taught through our free will, we tend to feel that we don't have any, that in somehow it was taken away. It's all illusionary and always has been illusionary. In fact, we've been using it, but used it based on how we've been conditioned, programmed, or adopted, really, is the thing, because you're the only one that can decide how you're going to use it. The beauty of it, which makes it so interesting to play on this playground, is that we go into an unconscious state, not realizing that we are directing, using, shaping our free will based on the programs, based on the stories, based on what we see around us, and based on what was shared to us, not only from our lineage, family, dynamics, media, you name it. And that also goes through this whole idea of sovereignty. What is sovereignty? That is freedom. Freedom to be you. It is not under any level of control. So the thing is, we've come here, we've adopted the idea that we don't have sovereignty, that in fact that we are part of the herd, part of the group, part of whatever is coming in, and that we have to work together as a unified sharing of a commonality, or that somehow we are replicating each other and supporting each other in these replications so that we are not sovereign. So in fact, we feel that we're not free. Of course, we've had many, many layers of imposing of rules and authorities and hierarchies and storylines and also a factor of different rules and regulations and ways, which we call cultural and so forth, that have been applied or shared, and we've adopted every part of it. So we felt that in some way and somehow that we don't actually have sovereignty. And now there's been a evaluation where we're looking at, we want our sovereignty back. We want that back. But what are we doing? Are we actually taking our sovereignty back, or are we realizing that we've always had it and we're now going to use our own internal sovereignty, because some people talk about this whole thing about, once you're born and you have a birth certificate, or you have all of this stuff that dictates who you are in one way or another, that in some way that you are now controlled and owned by pieces of paper or by certain authority or marine law or any other fictional laws that our names get all in caps and so forth, that now we have to fight to get this sovereignty back, to be able to be in our own driver's seat. But the thing is, we have to realize all of it is illusionary. There is no higher authority at any point in time. You can never lose your sovereignty. It is an illusionary part, and we've dived right in to have that experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now we're realizing it. But now we're doing it in a way where we're saying, oh, we got to go through the legal system to free ourselves and to become sovereign. Well, in fact, you always have been. You don't even have to go through the legal system. You just have to decide that you are now embodying fully your sovereignty. And you're now going to direct your free will. And you're going to go into that empowered state where you are fully conscious of your creatorship and your creative ability, and to create according to your specific uniqueness of design. Even though whatever you do is still all one, because everybody is a part of you, we're all one, but you all have a specific uniqueness. That's how it is. Our combinations are all different. If you're talking about the expression of Gaia through our body, it's going to be very unique for each and every one of us, because just the way it's expressing it, what frequency and codes that it comes through, what your entry point, through the entry points through mom and dad, the entry points of the solar system at the time, and all the stars and whatever alignments have occurred that have created uniqueness. The ratios between all the DNAs are going to be slightly different for each one of us. Of course, you're going to have a unique expression through the human entity with its own specific signature, and then you're putting in your multidimensional soul. So you now have a complete combination. You're not going to have anyone that's identical to you. No way. In regards to your access point, your expression, your what you call representation of your role on the planet. And it doesn't matter, even if we brought it back to your what we call twin soul. The only thing that matches with the twin soul is the signature and the frequency within the two souls. Those two souls may not be on the planet. Some are not. They're all in different ranges, different physicalities, whatever it is. But it's also had different experiences, different incarnations, and it's going to be different regardless. So the experiential part is never ever matched. And even the range of frequency, as I've said before, this is what we call our frequency. As much as we have a range, and your twin soul is going to have a very similar range, unless it's already accessed level 2. Depending on the experience, it can be anywhere along here. So it's not going to match. Regardless, it doesn't matter how you put the combination, it's always going to be different. Not one single expression of your innate spirit sourceness is going to be the same. But that is the true pure design of it. Why? So that you can be unique. You can be a unique expression. You will bring your uniqueness to the whole, which creates the opportunity for this whole to expand. We interact with everybody, but you interact as you, not as someone else. But of course, all of us somehow fit into this box at one point or another, and we have many layers of boxes, of course, as you understand. The boxes of the gender, the boxes of the lineage, the box of the family dynamics, the boxes of education, the boxes of different parts of the world that you may have entered and whatever else. but those are the parts we're dissolving. And as much as we've dived into those boxes, played with those boxes, they are not to be maintained any longer to keep you inside these boxes. All right, so how are we giving our power away? Well, we do that very easily. We give all of this away the moment you override you. The moment you decide that what is being shared, what I am looking at, what I refer to as an external expression, which is all our brother, sister souls and also the playground, when we adopt and buy into the idea of whatever is being shared through the media, through the educational system, through all of the interactions that you have with anyone. The moment you put yourself aside and say, I accept that as part of my reality, which has its own level of perfection, that is when you're saying, I am now shifting away from myself and I'm going to utilize what I see as me, as the power. So if authority says to you, fictional or otherwise, because it is fictional, this is the way life is, the moment you buy into it, the moment you accept it, the moment you now step into that and override your own inner guidance, your own true self, you're giving away yourself, your capacities to navigate, your free will and sovereignty to whatever system, whoever and whatever is around you as an authority, as a role player. And many of us do not even have to associate with that authority. You get into the idea, I want to be liked and accepted. So you now mold yourself, shape yourself, and embody in a sense of whatever that common group, could be family, could be work, could be friendships, could be your area of expertise in regarding to your gender, your race, or anything of that nature. And that's all has its own level of perfection as you choose to do so, but it's all temporary and it's up for you to experience. So that is how you do that. Now, most of us do not realize how much of ourselves we give away at every turn. We don't. We think we're being ourselves, but the moment we accept as a way of life from anybody or anything or from the collective, we've given ourselves away. That's perfect in its experience, but does it still serve today? Does it still serve to you? The moment you override yourself and say, this is the way the game is played. No, I want to be liked and I'm going to replicate or do what they see me as acceptable for them. The moment you say, well, these are the rules, this is education, this is science, this is medical, this is that, or any part of it, what have you just done? You gave yourselves away. It could be temporary, it can be for a long term. Many of us, up to just recently, have been giving ourselves away totally. And just realizing now that we've done that. Why? Not only the energies are stirring us, not only have we made a commitment to ourselves to discover who we are and bring it back online, to also go through whatever it takes for you to bring forth the true you, the you that you brought along in the full combination of body, human entity, multidimensional soul, as your overall consciousness and being that full expression that you have chosen to play with. So what are you doing? You're choosing no longer to give yourself away. But see, when I say every turn, we do this on multiple levels. How so? How do we do this on multiple levels? Wherever you go, if you go to your family dynamics and now you choose to replicate, to align, to communicate, to accept their ideas and beliefs and whatever else, and you play the game, you've done so. But then you could leave there and go to your work environment the moment you are no longer yourself. The moment that you're now buying into what the group and the environment of that nature, or whatever those rules are, you've done that the same. Very different, but you've done the same. You go with friends, the same. You go to certain communities, the same. And this is how we do it. We create all these versions of ourselves, and none of them are your pure self. See, the true aspect of yourself, if you stay 100% true, you're the same. And when I say the same, you are being your true, genuine, unfolding self each moment, no matter the environment, no matter who you're playing with, no matter who's involved. Then you are your highest authority. Then you are the navigator. You are the one that designs and shapes your reality and your interactions with others. See, the interactions with other at this point in time is your choice. It always has been. It always will be. That's the beauty of this. So we give ourselves every turn of the way. We don't even realize it. But now we're coming more and more aware along the way what we are doing. So, at one level or another, all of us have been conditioned to live a life on some imagined and illusionary idea of what life is and what you are allowed and capable of. Many of us have put ourselves in a box. Many of us have shrunken ourselves to such a degree that in one way or another we have adopted some imaginary, illusionary idea how life is. How many of us started as a child with pure potentiality, pure excitement, pure expression of you, with all those combinations put together? Body, human entity, soul, multidimensional meaning, have come here to be you, to express you in that excitement. But along the way, what happened? At one level or another, we accepted a condition to live a life on some imaginary, illusionary. We adopted how it is to live life, how to experience, how to share, how to communicate through our interactions, through our family dynamics, through our different levels of education, through whatever we've absorbed as the media or other ideas of that, through our different careers or anything else of that nature. They're all made up. They're all imaginary. They're all opportunities, of course, but we're the ones that have taken on any part of it. And as we did so, we basically lived whatever that was, that life. But we also adopted the idea, what are you able and capable of? When you were born, you felt that you were capable of anything. And you were going to discover everything through you. You're capable. You had the imagination. I can fly. I can do this. I can play. I can be myself. I can express. I can taste, do whatever. You had no restrictions then. But what did we do? We started to get conditioned that we're only allowed to do certain things and we're only capable of certain things. We're only allowed to express ourselves, a small part of ourselves, and that our capabilities, our level of imagination had to be stifled, had to be reduced, needed to be put in a box with only certain levels of access. And we've done that. We've done that very well. So many of us have forgotten what we're capable of, what our capacities are, what we actually have as an offering to humanity, to this playground. We also have forgotten our capability of what not only our body can do, our imagination, and our spirit essence, and our source essence within ourselves. We just put it aside, all of it. And then, like I said, we adopted the parameters of what we're allowed to do. In the family dynamic, you're only allowed to be this way, whatever that box is. In the work environment, you're only allowed to play in this way. Through your friendship this way. Through your culture this way. Through your race this way. Through your gender this way. And we've accepted all of that. We've played within all of that. But what is all of that? Those were all things that we've adopted as real as they were not. We accepted it, made it real. See, this is your playground. This is your reality. We watched what was the collective reality, and we shaped our reality accordingly. Which is a great experience. There's nothing wrong with it. But no longer fits you. It doesn't fit any longer what you came here to do. It no longer fits in this new world that you are unpacking. And Miss Kimberly has something to say.
Well, I was going to share a comment that Charmony made
in
regards to illusion of our life. Just making sure my sound is okay and everybody can hear me okay. Anyways, she says, and the illusion is made to feel real, as you have said many times, Franco, for the purposes of the game. Otherwise, why do you continue to pay rent, etc.? If it's all illusion, as you say, why participate? There is a balance in this game, and one must be grounded in the practical, not just speak of the illusion, etc., as though we can simply pretend it doesn't exist. Wish it were that easy, my friend, we would not be experiencing all the challenges that we do. So you want to comment on that?
Do you have any comments on that yourself personally from your understanding?
I would say that, I mean, we are moving from definitely a world where we have been controlled and tricked and all that stuff, and we are now coming out of it. And we're not just going to pop out of it all of a sudden. We all have, this is from my personal experience, what am I experiencing right now too. I'm not going to just pop right out of all my programs because they've been there for a long time, for generations and lineages and so on. And yes, there is seems like it could be a grand idea. There's a grand, so how I see it is, I feel the truth of how Franco is explaining it, that we do have this freedom within us and we do have the capacity to achieve it.
But we are all part of a collective that is going through a huge, gigantuous change that we've never seen before. So it's going to be messy for all of us to move together as one through this change. And so some of us may be moving quicker than others, and therefore we may have to just hold our space in the truth of what we know to be true, and not allow the space that others may be living in, or what we apparently seem to be seeing, to dictate how we feel and respond to our lives. I don't know a better way to say it, but it just seems like we really do have to stay true. It's not about all of a sudden stop paying rent and just live like a gypsy and all airy fairy. There's more to it than that. It is simple in one way, but it's not in another way, and we just have to really pay attention to how we're responding to the situation that's going on right now, and how inside we're responding and how we're reacting to it.
Okay, so it's a great comment. Thank you for that, Charmony. We have to understand, yes, as much as all of it is an illusion, we are also going through a process of untangling ourselves from that illusion and really getting into the empowered. Now, you have to understand that anything that we are doing individually, we are also empowering a collective, and the collective is involved. So really what we're sharing here is to stimulate the truth within yourself so that we start to turn ourselves on. Now, the moment somebody totally isolates themselves, then we kind of lose the connection. So we are doing it in stages. We are doing it together, but at the same time, each one of us is leading to the degree that it serves. So that's the beauty of the plan of that we've created for ourselves. So when we're looking at it, the thing is, we are now doing this together. So even reminding ourselves that we have so much capacities and capabilities, which a lot of us have broken up and gotten little pieces of it. You can see some of the feats that some people can do because of the fact that they had that knowing, saying, I can do this, and if I can't, I will open the pathway to be able to do it. So people that are using various skill sets and so forth, from physical skill sets to other types of skill sets and so forth within themselves, and able to connect with themselves. Now, we have also an agreement as we're doing that to not go too far out of that range all at once, because then we lose the connection with one another. So the point is, the reason we're sharing this is so that we are all realizing it. And through that, as long as we get into a clearer state, because there are many people that are out there all over the world that have realized that and are not lost in the game and are not in the depth of it. It depends on where you're at and what you choose to move forward with. So this is the thing. We have to understand the base fundamental truth that it is not real. We're living in this holographic, but we're also learning, we're also purging, we're also doing a lot of things as we start to bring that in and purge out the rest of it. So can we do something outside of saying we have to do it step by step by step? Yes, we can, and many of us are doing so and working at it. But the thing is, all of us are getting reconnected to that part of ourselves where we can now move forward in ways where we do not have to have the same laborful, intense, restrictive way of experiencing. So the first part of it is using our creative imagination to be able to reactivate all parts of it. So in the idea of not paying rent or anything of that nature at this point in time, that is something that you can do, and it is something that you bring in, but you also have to look at where you're at and what's connected with you, and also what all the people that are connected to you are ready for, because we are doing this on a collective scale, but we're also doing it with all the different collectives or environmental people that are, or people that are involved in your reality and so forth. Because the choices you make and whatever you're doing is also affecting everyone that you're interconnected with. So at that point in time, instead of saying, oh, you're lucky you're being able to do that, or yes, look at you, you're privileged because of that and we can't. But as we're doing it step by step, we're also creating the steps for us to go from stage to stage. The thing is, the immediate turn on from one state to another does not serve, because not everyone can do that. So we are doing it in stages and phases. But we have to start off with the true realization within ourselves, and then taking the stages and going through the different phases as we're going along. So right now there's a huge empowerment that's going on. Now there are parts of the world where there are people, as examples, that do live off the land, that are not connected, or what we call off the grid and all of those things. And that is great. They have come to that realization. They have taken steps to it, but they're also evolving and expanding. But not everybody's ready to jump into that. And it depends on what agreements you made and connections that you've made, even though the agreements are all fluid and pretty well canceled, but it's up to us on how we do it. So for example, myself, whatever, getting off the grid 100% and not, kind of disappearing and not able to do what we're doing now or play the game to a certain degree, will lose out a lot of people. But in sense, many relate from those stages, and we walk together through those stages, and we do it together. That way we're not saying, oh, I'm going to go way out there, and if you can copy, that's great. If not, too bad for you. It's not going to be that way. It's like we're doing it. We're doing it together. We're figuring out little steps that we can take and so forth. So this, hopefully that makes sense, and you can relate with that. So the whole idea is, at this point, whatever's playing out, we are doing it not only for ourselves but the collective. And that's the thing, is we're doing it in stages that helps us to maintain a certain relatability, and also by anybody observing it feeling that they are out because all of a sudden you went from A to Z in a blink of an eye, instead of going A, B, C, D, E, F, and going faster and faster along the way with others coming along with you. But at this time, we're untangling all the restrictive ties that we've put in. So this is the thing. So yeah, we're allowed to do anything we want, capable of, and so forth, amazingly. But how much of are we ready to display and experience for ourselves? Some of us can, but at the same time, what other agreements, what other connections you have that will not isolate you, disconnect you from the people that you're coming through and walking together through. Like, for example, when I entered the planet, I had that higher dimensional consciousness fully available as the designer. Now I'm talking about the soul, the multidimensional soul, the designer of this whole planetary system that we're in, basically the retooling and the redesigning of these physicalities with a team. So saying, okay, I come in with that and I can jump right in there and walk on water, for example. I'm just using that as a play there, and not have a relatability. This is the agreement I had to make with my own guide at the time, saying, hey, you need to walk, through the shoes, have the experiences that humanity is having, going through the levels of depth and so forth, so that not only do you get a deeper understanding of how the game is instead of just an observer, but to fully experience it, to fully embody it, to go through the stages, and to be able to also provide the tools, provide whatever's necessary to allow everybody else that has come here to be able to do something similar. And of course, I'm not the only one, but at the same time, many of us are doing exactly that. So there is a higher order of design that we do. We didn't come here just, hey, because then you get labeled as God or some deity or somebody super privileged and so forth. And at that point, you can do it, but we can't do it. We're just this and you're that. That doesn't work that way. That's not how you are effective. To be effective, you are now walking with them, and then you walk together out of it without getting superior or anything of that nature. This is why I do not put myself on a pedestal or allow anybody to do so. We are together. We the same. We all have our challenges. And I have had my colorful challenges, and many of them are still active right now, that on a physical level and also in the game of the monetary, whatever it is. But it's empowering a lot of people. We are connecting with a lot of people, and a lot of people can show themselves through that. So this is the thing. We have to look at the big picture of all of it. It's not just simple as say, okay, it's an illusion, blow it off. Because yeah, we can leave the physicality right now and see it's an illusion. No problem. But what did we gain? How did we learn and grow and empower? How did we actually have the experience by just saying, it's an illusion, it's gone? Now, the reason I'm saying it's an illusion, the reason that I'm bringing that in, so that we untangle ourselves, get unstuck from where we are, so that we can move forward. But we're not going to just disappear from the illusion, because we have the opportunity, and many are doing it every day, but then they're not in physical form either. Now, of course, we're unpacking the new human, the new world, but we are doing it in stages through our journey as we're going along and becoming enriched at the same time. We are just now realizing that what we have been living was not our true nature. Many of us realize that this life that we've been living is not natural to us. As I said, it's perfect that you're having this experience, but we're starting to realize this is not natural human nature. This is not how things need to be. This is not who our design is. We never really came here to become the same as everybody else or fit in a particular mold. We came to become unique in ourselves while playing with others, but at the same time not to be outside of it, because we enter wherever it was best suited for not only our personal experience, but our collective unification or combination of people that have come to play together. So those are all the part. So we're now realizing that our true nature is not a representation of our true you. We're realizing that the life we've been living, what we've been experiencing, what we have been putting our focus was not our true essence, which is great to come to that realization, but also to be in that non-realized state, to be able to walk through the journey to where we are now. Look at your life. It doesn't matter what you've adopted, how far you got down the rabbit hole of playing in the game, in the mud, whatever you want to call it. It does not matter. Look at the enrichment. Look at those, what we call trauma, what we call intense chaos, losing yourself in this old inverted world, and also identifying with that. Look at the enrichment of experience that you've gained that was not possible elsewhere. It was not possible without this combination. It was not possible by the choices you made. But with that realization, knowing that now your choices have completely expanded. And you're not here to go on, off. You've come here to start to turn on and head in a new direction in complete fluidity, complete freedom, one step at a time. And as we get excited, we take larger leaps. Yes, at times we say, well, we're asleep, now we're awake. We have to also understand the awakeness is only one stage. There are many, many levels of awakeness, many, many levels of self-realization, many, many levels of higher consciousness, which is endless only because it continues to expand. The moment you turn yourself fully awake, you realize that you're no longer in a sleep, you're no longer in a body, you're source itself with nothing and as part of everything, where you're nothing and everything at the same time, choosing to experience creations and to go play. And that's what the spirit is. What we call spirit is source in action, source in creation, source in growth. So we're just realizing it now, just now. More than ever, some of us realized some time ago and have been going through the process. Now, all of us at whatever degree and level that we're in, we are going through a purging process of just letting that other stuff out. Not because it's bad, not because it's demonized, but it's a certain level of experience and a certain level of restriction, a certain level of non-accessibility to ourselves that no longer serves. So we are now bringing ourselves in alignment with what most serves the best and what is one of the key factors that brought you here on this playground. And that is all that's taking place right now. This is where we start. And we have started. We've started this process quite some time ago. Some of you started the process before coming here, before fully embodying your physicality. You started it in other lives. But let's stay here. Many of you, this is where we start. And we've started. We start with this realization and taking the steps. Many of us did not come on board until 1987, and then 2012, and then 2020, and then 2021, and so forth. But each stage along the way creates, not only is there much more support, but the energies are even more powerful. So some of you that are just fresh in the starting will go on a fast track, but can be much intensified. Others have started and had the idea that they've started, and they were just taking little steps at a time because they had such an attachment to their old world, to their old identification, to their own labels, to their idea that they're damaged goods or whatever that may have been. And whatever that is. That I'm human, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever. Or that life is hard, or that life, every step of it has to be painful. I mean, we decide how much of it we want to give power, how much of it we want to go through it. But remember, whatever you're doing, you're not only doing for yourself, you're doing it for other aspects of yourself. Because you're not alone. Yes, you're the only existence there is as the spirit of source, but we've created so many facets of ourselves, so many fragmentations of ourselves to be able to play together. It's a lot more fun to play together than to play alone. Yes, you can play alone. Yes, you can do whatever you want alone, but it seems to be a heck of a lot more fun to play with others. And whenever we do it, we also see how all of us are doing it together. Now, not all of us are going to be at the same pace. Not all of us are going to be playing with certain groups and so forth. We will know where we fit in along the way because we're doing it. We're the ones that are deciding. So yes, we have started. We have started quite some time ago. Go ahead, Ms. Kimberly.
I just want to also, someone else commented from Australia that the Australian government is wanting to vaccinate 80% of the population. We are facing the strictest restrictions and lockdowns throughout the world. I have friends and family getting the jab. It's pretty hard to ignore. It's challenging to live within the illusion at the moment here in Australia.
Yeah, and I fully relate and I understand what you're talking about. Yes, we're not in the same position, but there is a similar effort going here, but not to the degree that you guys are dealing with. So the point is, you're going to have to let whatever's playing out play out, but at the same time staying rock solid within yourself, knowing what is best for you without judgment, without judging what the so-called fictional authorities are imposing and so forth, or what the choices of your family members and so forth are doing. Because we see it ourselves too. A lot of the family members are diving into it because of the fact that they are not only creating an example of how you can get lost in the game, but at the same time, they're not rock solid within themselves, and they feel that the only way they're going to have freedom, which is kind of what we were talking about today, the only way you're going to have freedom, the only way you're going to have free will, the only way that you can be sovereign, which most don't feel like at this stage yet, from when we're talking about the amount of playmates on the planet right now, is they're going to go wherever they're going to need to go. You're the one that makes the choice. Yes, it may be difficult to be neutral, but the thing is, when you see it as a game, when you see it, okay, it's what it is, and I'm not going to give it any power, and I want to live within myself, and you use your powerful imagination and creativity, so when you meditate or when you go into a quiet space, see that world around you no longer what is reflective. Because right now, for many people, that the outside, what looks like the outside world, what is the outside collective reality, is really powerfully imposing, very powerfully, how can I say, pushing that so-called narrative for many more people to finally say, no, we are not supporting this, we are the deciders, and we change the reality accordingly. That's why I was saying in the beginning that it's all fictional, what do you call authority and experience, and what do you call it? Authority, and the ones that we need to follow, that in fact that they can impose these restrictions. They can impose it. They can say whatever you want, but it's up to the people that are supporting it, and it's up to the people that are playing the role with them. But this is where it comes in to be rock solid. Now you've put yourself in, and there are many others that have put themselves in a place where that intensity is much stronger than other parts of the world. And that will make you even more rock solid as you choose, no matter what, to be true to yourself. And the trueness to yourself is a decision that you make for yourself, not because of fear, not because of opposition. It's because it relates and aligns with you perfectly, that I am not going to support this so-called medicalization, jabbication, whatever you want to call it. You're not supporting it. So yes, this is a good, really opportunity for you to tap into that part of yourself that is the most powerful as that sovereign, free will, source essence that you are, and you say, not with judgment, with clarity, no, I am the driver, I am the designer, I am the creator, and I allow others to have whatever the experience they choose. But my experience is based on how I feel about it. So the thing is, you can hear a lot of things out there of what's good, what's bad, whatever it is. You're the only one that decides what best resonates with you, and that's what you follow. So that brings you to that rock solid state. Here we are with a strong desire to move forward. Many of us want to move forward and advance in a powerful way, of course, while at the same time giving our power away, which keeps us stuck. This is the part of being really true to yourself. Basically, at this point, we're all feeling it at one level or another. Some of us feel it and have no idea where it's going. But if you're listening to this, you kind of know. We're feeling the push. We're feeling the push to advance, to move out of this old world, to be able to create and unpack this new world, to unpack the true new human self. We're feeling that. We're feeling it very powerful. In a powerful way, you want to move. And many of us, yes, at the same time have been giving our power away. How? You give your power away by the moment you say, hey, they're saying if I don't get this, fabricated experience that I will not have freedom, or that I won't be able to do this, or I won't be able to do that, or whatever it is. Or that if I do not accept what my family's doing or what they say, I will be disowned. Same thing with my friends, same thing with work, and so forth. Realizing all of that, you're the one that decides, do I participate or not? Do I dive in or not? Do I navigate or not? And if I navigate, I go full throttle. I navigate according. But at that point, I navigate with peace. When I say peace, with neutrality, with the fact is, I am an empowered being. I choose whatever it is. And it doesn't matter what you throw at me, what you show at me, what you, project. I am not interested at all. Because I'm done with that. Because the moment you give your power away, or you give any part of it away, you get stuck. Because you can't move forward. Look at the experience you just said there from Australia. You feel that you have no out. That keeps you stuck. What am I supposed to do? Everybody's imposing it. It's being imposed on people I love. It's being imposed on myself, of course, but imposed on others, people that I feel are not aware. But what matters is you. What matters is you saying, it doesn't matter how it's imposed, who's involved, what's involved, I am not going down that path. Because you decide. You are the one that decides. And that's the part. So in a sense, if you want to get unstuck, go with the flow of you. What feels guided within each step of you. Fear will not come in. It'll try to creep in because the ego is very good on using fear, using anger, using the idea of restrictions or powerlessness. That powerlessness is one of the key programs in what we call the ego, artificial intelligence. Because if you feel powerless, then you will have other fictional power be able to have access, to be able to dictate, to be able to direct any part of it. This is, again, the way it works. So, we're feeling the strong desire to move forward and advance in a powerful way, but then we have to keep our power and be able to stay out of the stuck state. And many of us have been in stuck state. And some of the stuck state we get involved in is the idea of feeling that we do not know what to do, feeling stuck that we have to wait for the world to change before we can change, the world to change before you feel free, the world to change, or what we call the collective or groups or whatever it is, to change before you have the capacities that you've had. Those are just the illusionary part. It's a major distraction. And it does have a really strong power over us. So what does giving your power, free will, and sovereignty away mean? What does it mean? It's where you, and I said this already, but I'm just a reminder, when you give yourself whatever you know, whatever you feel, that inner guidance of yourself, you put it aside and you now accept what the collective narrative, what others say, what other is being displayed, or whatever the world collectively in the areas that you're in or overall is displaying. And so what you end up doing, you override yourself, and then you feel that you don't have any free will, you're not a sovereign being, that somebody else makes the rules, somebody else dictates how to live life, and somebody else has power over you. The moment you accept any about that, then you go it. And that's okay. That's all right. To experience it. To observe it. But now you choose. Okay. I'm no longer giving myself away because of that. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm being true to myself. What do we mean? See, what we're looking at here is that we're coming to this powerful realization that we, and that's why we've based on that, and many of you are realizing, self-empowerment. Self-empowerment is self-directive, where you realize you're the designer, you're the experiencer, and you're the one that changes any part of it. How you take it in, how you define it, all of that. So you realize all of that. You're realizing more and more that you've always been a sovereign being. You're always a unique expression. And you always had free will. And the free will doesn't have to be tied into anyone or anything. So the whole lure to give yourself away, or to give anything away, to get something, is no longer appealing. You don't even have to ask for permission. You just take the steps to do it. What I'm sharing is activating your own knowing. How you unpack it, how you utilize it, how you stage it step by step is up to you. The you of your innateness, the you of your human entity, the you of your multidimensional soul. In unification, working together, with also the connections you may have with others and the power you've given to those connections. Meaning, how much does that have to influence my life? And how much of it am I tied into it? Because this is the question that we have. I wouldn't believe it, but many people have questioned this before. Maybe a little less now, but they're still out there. Do we actually have power? Because many of us have bought into the idea of powerlessness for such a long time, we feel we have no power. That there's a deity that has power, that the collective has power, that others have power, that we have no choice, we have no freedom. So many feel that we don't have power. And the free will, yes, like if I had my own choice, I wouldn't be doing it this way. We've always had the free will, like I said earlier. We've always had the free will, but we adopted the idea how free will looks like, how to use it, and so forth. Why do you think, and I know I've said this before in previous episodes, why do you think there is so much emphasis on conditioning, programming, teaching you, exposing you to various ways of an illusionary life? The media creates a reality what life is like. Education is molding you to accept a certain way of life. Your family is doing the same. Everywhere and every interaction is doing the same. So what do? We use our free will to replicate or to accept any part of that. And then we think we don't have free will. Well, no. What we've done is we've adopted. So the whole system, if you want to look at it as an isolated case, the whole system and all of the fictional authorities are convincing us that you have no free will, you have no sovereignty, and they will continue to push it until you come to that realization. Because the moment we realize, more of us as a collective, that, hey, wait a minute, we are the ones that decide how we live our lives collectively, and that there are no specific individuals that override our collective decision, then guess what? Everything stops and reverses, and that empowerment state goes much further. And then we advance not only ourselves, our consciousness, and how we play the game, how we interact, relate with one another, what we bring in to service or another. We are never going to create and support sacrifice, survival, fear, because those are not natural. They're not our true design. Those were all conditioned and programmed. And it was a great little experience to come in and experience, but it's not the way it works. And the same thing with our sovereignty. That we're free. We're free. Not only just free will, free as a spirit that we are. We're not owned. We're not bought. We're not controlled. And it doesn't matter if it's deities or anything else. It doesn't exist. We've always had sovereignty. We're the designers. We're the creators. We're the experiencers. We unplug and plug in ourselves along the way. How profound and impactful is giving it away? You can see it. How many of us feel totally out of control, totally imprisoned, totally restricted, totally caught up in whatever is there? The impact is powerful. Look at what was brought up as an example. I have to get in. For me to have freedom, I need to be jabbicated. For me to be free, I have to follow the rules. For me to be free, I need to be like many other people, or what is being dictated, or what is adopted as a way of life, adopted as what is. So that's how impactful. It's so impactful, we've forgotten who we are. We have forgotten that we are the designer. We have forgotten that we are the creator. We have forgotten every part of it. And now we're remembering. Some people call it awakening. Some people say, we're going through an elevation in consciousness or whatever it is. I can't even think of the other word that they use at this point in time. But anyways, there's lots of different names for it. All right. We are our true selves by giving them away. So the question is, are we our true self by giving them away? Are we our true self when we give ourselves away? And it's easy to give ourselves away. The moment we say, you may have a knowing or deciding or anything of that nature that this is how I want to live life. But the moment you decide to accept somebody else's, or what the group is presenting, or the collective, then you're stepping out of your true self and you're now going to the collective perspective of self. The collective perspective of that inverted 3D as a reality and truth of way things work. So the moment you give to rules, to others, to systems, to fictional authorities, to rules that are from deities or projected ideas of deity, you're being less true self, true to yourself. The true self is pure in its form, pure in its creation, pure in its capacities, and it's an expression in its own uniqueness. No reliance on the outside, no reliance on any existing system, protocols, ideas, and so forth. because we're not our true self as long as we buy in. Yes, you can have an experience, absolutely. But ask yourself, am I being truly myself wherever I am, whoever I'm with, and who I play with? Go ahead.
Someone is asking, I'm thinking this is what they're asking, how can we remember who we truly are?
That's a good question. We'll have to get back to you because I'm going to have to do some research. No, just kidding. How do? We by connecting ourselves, by quietening ourselves, connecting with ourselves, connecting with our heart. Just, we get a lot of noise from the environment around us, all the stories, programs, belief systems, and everything else that are being thrown left, right, and center. We have a lot that in one way or another our ego is projecting out and so forth. This is the way it's done, this is not the way it's done, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, this is, you failed or you've been successful or whatever, you messed up, this is who, the labels and whatever else. It's to go beyond that. So that's why meditation or quietening or being in nature and allowing yourself to go quiet. So as the thoughts come in, thank you, I acknowledge you, I thank you, I love you, I free you. That's it. So you go to that point where you start connecting with yourself. The more you connect with yourself, the communication between your highest aspect of yourself, which again is not isolated, because your highest self is a combination of the highest version of your innate consciousness, of your body, which is the extension of God, the highest aspect of your human entity in its most advanced state, and your multidimensionality, and of course also streaming source essence consciousness. So going into that quiet state. What will also help, and I've shared this before on numerous occasions, is when you go into that quiet state or when you're going into meditation, you ask your soul to fully embody, to be fully present within your body, to activate the highest level of home frequency of your multidimensional soul that can be contained with your body at that time. Then you can also say, I now activate my highest source essence, because we are source, we are that spirit of creation essence. I activate the highest source essence. I also fully activate, fully embody pure love, pure source love, pure creator source love. You are that. And then you ask your human entity to express and to project forward or bring forward its highest aspect of itself in all of the collective human entity and all of that unique signature human entity. So you ask your human entity to express itself to the fullest. And you can also ask your body at the same time, the innate consciousness of the body, to also express itself fully and allow that unification. Ask it to fully unify and stay in that quiet state. And each part will share not only consciousness, not only advanced thought processes, but also their particular frequency, their particular state of being that actually brings you to that level of remembrance. It's not going to be spontaneous, and it's going to be introduced because you may have a little bit of a resistance through the mind because it's accessing something that it's been not accustomed to for the longest time. So each time you do that, you will access more of that memory. You will access more of that consciousness, more of you in the embodied state. Because you are made up of many facets. At the same time, you will also notice that as you're going through this process, you're also, with all the other energies that are coming in, are bringing back online your DNA. And that will bring also streaming of consciousness and awareness from all the different species that were contributors to this physical form. So there's how you can do it. It's just a matter. I know it may seem complicated, but if you are diligent with it and you go through it, and it's not a very long process. So take this part and repeat it a few times, write it out if you can, and then it becomes more natural for you as you go along. And you'll notice you'll access more and more of yourself, more and more of your memory, and you will also get a glimpse of why you chose to come in now, what you've actually chose to participate in. And that is also expanding and growing and changing all the time, because, as much as we came in as an entry point with certain intentions to be expressed, that those intentions have evolved, and they do evolve and continuously evolve. Okay. We are doing, are we doing what we are here to do? Being impactful by giving power, free will, and sovereignty. Are we doing what we are here to do? Being impactful and giving power, free will, and sovereignty. Well, are you?
Are we doing what we are here to do and be impactful by giving power, free will, and sovereignty?
Yeah. Giving our own power.
No.
We're not. But we are, bit by bit. So by being truly you, by being fully engaged with all of those parts that we are bringing forth, you're becoming impactful, not only with yourself, but the collective, because each one of us have made a commitment to a certain degree how powerful you are. Now, that doesn't always mean that you're going out there and being, charging ahead. You're doing it by you evolving, you expanding, and by sharing not only your energy by just being present and going to those higher realms, by connecting with yourself, but you're also sharing with others that are open along the way. So, impactful by giving power, free will, and sovereignty to yourself, and also reminding others about it. Reminding others that you are powerful. You are fully capable. You have free will. You're just now learning how to use it on your terms rather from the programmed and projected terms. And the same thing with your sovereignty, reminding yourself and others that you are sovereign beings. You came here to be that uniqueness. You came here to bring your specific offering, not only energetically, consciousness, and through the multidimensional experiences that you have from your multidimensional soul, your human entity, your innate body expression at this point. We all have insight and inner knowing, regardless how we may have discounted it for most of our lives. We all have inner guidance. We know it's that subtle voice, it's that feeling, that knowing. And it's not the feeling of cringing, not the feeling of feeling bad. It's a feeling of knowing. It's a feeling this is what best serves. We have that inner guidance. We have that inner knowing. What are we doing right now in this episode? We're stirring up, stimulating, bringing forth your own inner knowing. What I'm sharing, you already know inside. We're just stimulating, reminding you. The only reason you will resonate, the only reason it's going to come to the surface for you more is because it is already there and it's being turned back on by just nudging and stimulating. If you're going to turn around and say, well, this is total BS and it doesn't make any sense, That is just the ego jumping in. And that's okay. It likes to take tantrums. It likes to polarize. It likes to discount. No, that's not real. The real world is what we're looking at. The real world is following these rules. The real world, there's good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark, and all of that stuff. Yes, we have that projection. Yes, it does exist because we've allowed ourselves to see it that way. But is it real? Not really. That's just the part of the experience. So we all have insight. We all have inner knowing. A lot of people say, well, I don't have my insight. You do. You do. It might be drowned in the ego and the emotional charges and everything else. So you can't access it. It's not showing up very well. That's all. But we have that inner knowing, that inner guidance within ourselves. We know what best serves along the way. Now, of course, at times it may not feel that way because the emotions are much more powerful. The ego dialogue may be very persistent and loud. That's why the quietening and connecting to yourself, as the process I shared with you before and today, a few minutes ago, you will be able to access that insight and that inner knowing more clearly. So regardless how we may have discounted in the past, letting the what we call logical mind take over, it's always been there and always will be there. But now it's coming to the surface more clearly, more profoundly, and so forth. Give me a second here. Little technical thing on one of the monitors. Oh, still acting up. Okay, so that's the thing, is we've always had it. Okay, many, if not most, have been conditioned to one degree or another to override our inner knowing for others, people's input, and the collective input. All of us, one way or another, we have. We've discounted what we know and followed what everybody else was telling us, what the media was telling us, what any other collective idea has been putting out. That could be from cultural, from family, could be from education, could be from, the, like I said, the media, could be from the race, whatever. All of us, to one degree or another, put our inner knowing aside and say, I'm going to go with the status quo. Or the common sense, what we call, mental sense. What we have basically programmed sense. How many times have we made choice? We know that that's not quite aligned, but we're okay going down that path, and we use our logic. Not our inner sense. We use our logic. So, what does our higher aspect of ourselves do? Let us have the experience. No problem. With the opportunity to be able to play, to learn from it, to expand, to grow. All of us, to one degree or another, is the collective input. Just the fact that the collective is saying that you need to be jabbercated to have freedom, we give to that, then guess what we've done? We basically override our inner knowing. Now sometimes our inner knowing says, yeah, it would be great to have that experience because we're going to teach others. And we're going to use it as a very intense experience anyways, and with the opportunity to kind of maybe leave, or to carry a long-term intensified experience. So you can see all the different options that we have. The most significant calling for us right now is to empower ourselves, exercise our free will and sovereignty while being our true self. That's the most significant calling we have within ourselves. This is what we're feeling. This is what we are having agitate within ourselves. This is what is pushing out, with some assistance of other aspects of ourselves, pushing out all that does not match you, all that is not you, all that we've adopted as a way of you no longer serving you at this point in time, so that you empower yourself as the designer, as the creator, and fully use that and nothing else. You could choose to play with others, but others will not dictate what choices you make. Others will not dictate how life should be or another. Doesn't matter if it's others or if it's the systems or whatever is out there, or the outside reality or playground that is collectively induced. You are the one that decides, and you exercise your free will, knowing I am perfectly free and always have been, and nothing can change that, because I am free. So you exercise your free will and sovereignty, your freedom, who you are, not restricted, while being your true self. Your true self is a very unique self. It's the part of you that is here to have the experience you are. But you are genuine, you are unique, you are a powerful expression of sourceness in all of its combination, of all inputs. So that's the most significant calling we're having. This is why you are going through these changes. This is why you're participating the way you're participating. This is why you're feeling and experiencing all that you're experiencing. Because that is a calling to you. And many of us are feeling it immensely. And yes, some people are more immensely than others, and others may seem like they're not doing anything. So, you are more than ready to do so. To follow that calling within yourself, that knowing within yourself, to be that true self, to be free, using your free will on your terms, to be the sovereign being, to be empowered as the navigator, as the designer, as the creator that you are. Unpacking that new you, unpacking that new world, unpacking and representing, expressing that beautiful gift that you and only you have to offer. Time to step up. That's the call to yourself. Time to step up. How do you do that? You make the commitment and you take the steps accordingly. We are getting a tremendous amount of assistance. Not only reactivating our own knowing, stimulating, recoding, reprogramming, turning us back on from the parts that got turned off, allowing all of our versions of ourselves, the old versions of that inverted self, to deteriorate, dissolve. That's all. It's all happening. You're the one that's doing it. All right. So, Miss Kimberly.
Franco, guess we're going to do a few Q&A, huh, honey?
I guess that's what we're doing.
Oh, cool.
Question and answer.
So we're going to start with one that several people want to know about.
Okay.
And it has to do with Jason Estes' recent update about the 6 billion walk-ins with full remembrance to embody the extras on planet Earth within the next few months. Do you care to comment on that?
Yes. Only because they're requesting or asking the question. Okay. These more advanced multidimensional souls have been coming in for quite some time. The influx has been increasing. As far as I'm aware, as just recently, larger numbers are coming through. So what is it doing? The next level that has been coming in are all new births. Before, there were a percentage of new births. We're taking in these more advanced, higher vibrational souls without having to go through the deep level of so-called forgetfulness of their essence and experience. So they will have more of their memories of their multidimensional selves with various experiences. Now, knowing all of that, they still have to integrate themselves to take on the body and also integrate with what they have to play with. And again, being a brand new birth, they still have to relate with what is being offered through mom and dad contribution, genetically and otherwise, and emotionally and also energetically and so forth. The next level is all of the souls that are choosing to leave the planet right now because they're kind of done. They were only interested to come for a certain period of time. More and more, and this, like I said, it's been happening for a while, but back to the birth, now all of them that are entering from this point are going to all be these advanced, and none of the lower ones, which were a few were allowed before. When I say lower, wanting to play at a lower dimensional consciousness, now all of them that are coming in through fresh, brand new birth are going to come in with that recollection, and also, but the recollection again cannot be totally used in the human experience right away, or for a good part of it not at all, because this is a different experience. But what they've learned, the seed of what they've learned, they can share. The same thing, going back to what I was saying before I shifted back, was that the souls that are already choosing to leave and have been leaving, then a lot of these higher state, higher dimensional consciousness beings with access to higher memories are now embodying the ones that are becoming vacant because of the fact that their souls are pulling out. Again, they have to go through a complete integration process. They have to relate with the human experience, because most of these have not ever been here before, have never taken on a human form, and they will all have to deal with the fact of deprogramming any heavy-duty programming they may have, and conditioning of that inverted matrix, inverted 3D type and 2D operating system, plus all the conditioning patterns and addictions and so forth. They will have to deal with that and process all of that stuff. Another wave of it will come, that is coming in also, will embody the what do you call it, the extras, the ones that never had a soul, that were only operating from a collective soul and were basically operated by programming. So some of them will be taking on, or a good portion of them will be taking on the extras physicalities, and then again we'll have to deal with that. Now, some of these numbers will only come temporarily, encode what they need to encode, and then leave. You could say, well, there's going to be 6 billion. Are there going to be 6 billion here that are going to? Highly doubtful, but there will be 6 billion attempts. Again, this is not something I can confirm at this point in time. I know there's going to be a large influx that's already started recently, that are coming in larger numbers. They will enter, do what they can, encode, partake, whatever it is, and a lot of them will end up leaving shortly after. But because of the link that the physicalities have on the planet, they will be able to encode into the collective whatever offering they have. Others will be able to embody, will have to go through the integration process, and will be able to start going in the driver's seat. Now, how will you notice? You will notice that there's going to be maybe not an immediate shift, in some cases, yes, but a shift in the way to communicate, what they're able to access, their overall frequency will shift, and there's going to be some noticeable changes. The extras will start going into the driver's seat. But again, you have to understand there's a lot of physicalities that have gone through many, many levels of medicalization and damage in the genetic codes, damage in so-called DNA, that it may not be able to sustain these higher frequency beings or multidimensional souls that may be carrying an imprint from an older incarnation from, say, Pleiadian or others, Arcturians, you name it, with that type of consciousness to come in for any long period of time, or find that they're not. So the number itself I cannot confirm. How many will actually stay will probably be only a fraction of that. I'm not talking a minuscule fraction, but a fraction of them. And a lot of them will come and go, and others will actually be embodied. And some of these embodiments will be in positions of power so that they can take the driver's seat to kind of move things forward. So there's many, many components at this point in time. We have to understand that even any of the souls that are coming in, they will, if they already have a human entity, most likely that human entity, that overall consciousness and the body innate consciousness will still be intact and will still be part of what is projected as part of the experience. What does that all mean? That their characteristics, their tendencies, their memories of anything they've experienced will still be there, will probably fade fairly quickly over time, and will be able to be integrated as part of the experience. But the importance and the power given to the old self will be very minimal along the way, and then eventually not, establishing a new part. Now the thing is, any of these higher frequency, higher consciousness, higher dimensional beings, or multidimensional soul, if you want to call it that, coming in will again have to not only integrate but also learn how to be able to function as a human. So not only is there an integration, but also there's a level of learning with its upgrades to be part of that. How do you know you're one of them? You will maintain most of your characteristics and remembrance, but you will feel a different energy within you. You will feel more of a driver in you. So some of your old characteristics will not be as empowering or disempowering in this case for you, and then that higher consciousness. You will have more of an accessibility that you will know. You will see it in others too, shifting fairly profoundly. Maybe not at first, but along the way they will. So again, will 6 billion beings be here? Highly unlikely. 6 billion attempts, yes. Some short visits, yes. Some longer visits, yes. Some full embodiment and be part of it, absolutely. Are there going to be, again, there are still many that of the physicalities and that are not as embodiable, I don't know if that's a good word, by higher frequency beings at this point in time. So if they do, it's short-term, and then a lot of these physicalities may no longer be here because it was not suitable. And so there's so much to that to unpack, but at this point in time, I would say just be okay with what you see and experience and with whatever's flowing around at this point. because as you're going along, as you see what's playing out at this point, you will come to the realization that it's part of something that you've agreed to witness if it's going to be closely connected to you, meaning that could be somebody that you know, and so forth. Now, from what I understand, from what I've heard somebody else mention, is that, you know, it started a few days ago, that ramping up, and to go till about the 28th, I think, of November. That is a tentative time, which I can't absolutely confirm. It could be, because you have to understand, all of this is being monitored. If there's too much at once, that can really shock things up and lose our capacities to have the transition in a smoother and less bumpy way, then it may throttle down the emanating, and it may carry on longer than that. So there's a lot of variabilities right now. But just put it this way, all that's going on, we've agreed upon, all that's going on is to bring a very high-powered advancement forward at this point. Again, like, we are always in charge of how much we interact with any of this and how much of it becomes part of our experience. And the collective, at this point in time, will still, you know, be in a position to govern how much of it will come in. Again, a lot of it is our higher aspects of ourselves that are going to be the main navigator, which is made up of all the parts, not just your multidimensional soul. Okay, that was a long answer.
That was, well, I guess so. People were curious.
Well, and it can cause confusion. People can panic, you know, thinking that, you know, the world's going to fall apart and people are going to go crazy, or people are going to be so different. The ego mind likes to be afraid. The whole idea of change is very fearful. It's not our true nature, because we are not naturally fearful of change. We actually welcome change, and we welcome everything. But the ego likes to kind of project a very strong program, a strong reaction to what we call fear of change, fear of instability. But instability leads to new creation, new abilities, new opportunities. I mean, we know that from all aspects of ourselves.
Okay, I'm going to, there seems to be some problem with your PayPal thing. I posted it and doesn't seem to be working for some reason. Still doesn't open. Okay, we'll check that out and see if I can get it to work. I opened it and it seemed to work for me, so I'm not sure why, Mariana, why it's not working for you. Anyways, I'm going to ask the next question was sent in to us. It's a bit long, but
Yes.
You know which one it is. So I'm going to just read it.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please address the weather technology that is being used to cause famine and drought? Also, years ago, you had said that we would not be forced to go too low in frequency because that would harm the ascension and put us way off schedule. Could you address why this seems to have been negated? First fake pandemic, then evil jab, now tech causing drought and fire and famine. Humanity has been pushed so far into fear. With the inverted matrix and the moon offline, we are still, if not more so, being mind-controlled with new technologies and new ways of suppression. I'm not one for unicorns and fairies, but I do work closely with nature and elementals. First, the Colorado River on the west coast is dried up. Now, within one season, they have done the same to the Mississippi River. Food supply all the way down to the sea is going to be greatly affected. How can people focus on releasing fears when they just keep bringing more? One other question. Could the Galactics be called upon to turn off the weather controlling tech like they've turned off the nuke warheads? Yep, and that's it.
Okay. Our brother sister souls are monitoring every step of the way. And there are so-called humans that have a connection and are working with them. The technologies that are being rolled out at this time that are creating weather issues and so forth are not functioning as effective as they originally intended, because they're taking part of its capacities and reducing it. The reason they're allowing lots of this that's going on is because we are in a different state of consciousness. The collective energy has advanced. All that is streaming for us is supporting us. So the intensities and also the major stimulation and weather and so forth, and also the so-called restriction in food supply and different narratives being pushed, is really pushing us to, so we have a powerful wave that's re-energizing and revitalizing and bringing us back online, where we having more and more suppression, more and more intensification, more and more of what we can call restrictive limits to how we do, and also projecting fear, projecting survival, and so forth, is to really stimulate within ourselves self-empowerment, stimulating free will and sovereignty. But it's really the self-empowerment that is the main focus. We are, in a way, collectively, from a superconscious level, allowing certain things to roll out to really stimulate us the opportunity. So this is why we're seeing these mandates, this chaos, these instabilities, intensified weather patterns, and what we can call destruction and so forth, so that we are nudged and pushed against the corner to finally say enough is enough. The process of all of this is to advance awakening. Now, with these new higher advanced souls, or more higher dimensional souls with higher dimensional consciousness coming in, will be added to the mix. So the polarization, as much as will show up, will start to dissolve. Specifically the narratives, because all of that is all breaking down as it is. Now, some of it is being used, again, is being used because the ones that want to participate to be in the mix, or in the in the middle, let's use it that, in the middle of the intensities, chaos, and so forth, to have that experience as part of the awakening. Others may use it to check out. Others may use it to observe what's going on and getting to that point, okay, it's time for stepping up and going into our empowered state for us to unify and to create an environment which we change. The only reason that more allowance has been without having the same intensity of what's the word? Intervention, is because of the fact that we are more capable than before. There's still intervention. There was an intervention in regards to the so-called CV or virus, or whatever you want to call it, that was introduced so that it would not wipe out huge numbers of people. It would have not created true chaos. But then they stepped up, which just to create the more falsified version of things, to be able to create what looked like a pandemic when there was nothing to sustain it, nothing that was actually there. Now, this particular rollout of this version and even the following versions, in actual fact, were even milder than any flu. But because we bought into collectively, for the ones that chose to be with that it is severe and it's dangerous and it can wipe us out, then we self-prophesied, we self-created certain reaction. Self-created because we wanted to dance in that and possibly create extreme intensification and also many to check it out. The same thing with the so-called V that is being rolled out. That was intervened also so that it would not create the same impact that it was originally designed for, to totally destroy the human physicality, to totally be governed by various sequences of what it could play out, to only allow a certain amount of it to play out. And this is why not everybody is having a very intensified checkout, even though the numbers are much higher than being displayed, and adverse reaction, only to the degree to awaken more people. But again, it's each individual that have chosen to have that become active within themselves. Now, the further next level of intervention is once we're done with all of this, the next intervention is to turn off what was initiated with the amount that was capable to be initiated through the V. Because right now you'll see that they're also creating more illusionary versions that are more deadly, which are not, and more fear to bring and possibly bring a third jabicated sequence or cocktail at this point in time, because of the fact that it's not playing out the way it is because of the intervention. But that's one part of it. The other part of it is our overall frequency is increasing. The frequencies that are coming in, from our galaxy, from our sun, are also negating a lot of it. See, we've staged everything to the way that would best create a more massive awakening, mass self-awareness, and also realizing, awakening us through the sleep of operating totally under dictatorship, under operating systems, and so forth, so that we do step into that empowered state. Because right now, we are choosing to enter this new world, this new human, as not only a superhuman, but an upgraded, self-empowered, utilizing pure free will, pure sovereignty, and not being dominant in any way, or dominated, or limited, or restricted by any other system, program, or anything of that nature. That's where we're at.
Did you mention about whether the ETs will come in and the Galactics will come in and intervene?
Yeah, that was the whole theme of it.
At the very okay, sorry. I was looking at questions, so I wasn't sure if you got the every all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They are, like I said, they are monitoring. Okay. They are looking at. Now, thank you for bringing that up, because the question is not to bring it to the levels before. Yes, they have intervened with the nukes so that we would not destroy ourselves. Everything that's playing out right now will not destroy us. Will weed through things? Yes. Will it create opportunities for exit? Maybe in larger number? Yes. It's creating that, but not to destroy. So, and at the same time, as I've said in the past, that anything that rolls out will not lower our frequency or even our vibration, mainly our vibration the most, to get stuck in a disempowered state, because we're no longer capable of that. Remember what I've also said in a couple of the workshops, and I've also mentioned in some of the episodes, that we have gone through certain phases where we have chopped off the lower bands of frequencies and lower bands of vibration. So no matter what is thrown out as fear and so forth, we will not go below a certain threshold. We have cut off twice now, we've actually chopped away the drop that we can go, and that is an agreed part of the collective.
Okay, I know we're over time, but I was just gonna end with this one more. I think it'll be a quick question. Hold on.
Are we doing okay with the list there? Because that one's going back a few weeks, but
Yeah, do you want me to do these? There's two more.
okay, do those two, and if there's one more, we'll be quicker because I think
Okay,
we've covered a lot.
The last two are kind of similar too.
Okay.
Okay, what's going on? It doesn't matter. I just want to mark the time on it. What's going on? I feel like giving up, going home, stay in bed, crying, chest pain, and weakness, lightness. Empathy or need to visit a doctor? So let me see. The other question is, I was do this one first, and I'll ask the second one.
Okay. So what you're experiencing is the old you being purged. Now there may be a little bit of an overwhelm, so you're going to feel emotions coming up. So like the tears, you're going to feel that you can't face the world because somehow it doesn't match, but then you're also wrestling with your ego, wrestling with kind of your higher self merging or coming up to the surface more, and you're going to feel like I want to leave because it's intense. But that is only pushing us so that we can drop more of our expectations, more of our patterns, more of our default, more of our old world that we have used as a balance point in the past. So it's also purging through us the old emotions, old patterns, old memories, old traumas, and so forth. So it's going to feel intense, but those intensities are what is pushing things out, or at least bringing it to the surface. And you can, at that point in time, say, thank you, I acknowledge you, I love you, I free you. And you can say that, and you may have to say it many, many times, each time something that comes up. So it's just an overwhelm. And most of the overwhelm is not your higher self. It's your emotional body, and it's your ego creating that illusionary overwhelm, that illusionary I want to shut down, illusionary I want to give up and leave. It can seem very intense. It can seem very powerful. But you're going to notice as that comes along, you will move through it. But you need to realize that that is just the old purging through. Acknowledge it, thank it, love it. But in a sincere mode, you have to get to that point to see the appreciation of what it's providing for you and has provided for you, and then you can let it go with love.
Okay, thank you. So the next one is, my question is, what tips do you have for us not to get sad and frustrated when we hear from you and others that is likely the chaos will continue through this year and a lot or all of 2022? I try to focus on the now, but find that difficult.
Okay, well, the thing is, if we're going to look at the world and saying, well, we don't need the chaos and so forth, the chaos is going to be unfolding to the degree that it serves all of us to purge the old and reactivate our true essence, and to free us from our illusionary barriers and limits that we have created within ourselves. So yes, being present in the moment's great, but being present in the moment could be experiencing the moment of the old. So the best thing to do is to see things as things that are unfolding and connecting with yourself. Accessing what I showed you before, embodying your higher self or embodying your soul, fully embodying, activating home frequency, activating the highest source essence, activating and embodying pure love, and to bring in your highest aspect of your human entity and the highest aspect of your innate consciousness of the body, and choose to see things of that nature. The reason the intensification is there are many that are still using it to purge out the old, to let go, because when things get intense, you get to the point where you let go what no longer serves, because many of us are hanging on to the old self, hanging on to our stuff, our old patterns, our old whatever. And so these intensities are really to bring us from a disempowered state to an empowered state, to a realization that you are a slave or have played the slave to that you're not. You never have been, never will be. And to bring all of those parts up that we've talked about in the beginning of the episode. So in that particular case, in essence, the intensity will last and will get to the depth that it will serve each one of us, because more you're empowered, more you're disengaged from whatever's going on. You're not only overriding it, you're basically seeing it as just something playing around you. So that's the tip I can give you, is bring yourself in and then connect into that quiet state. You will see it for what it is. It's a beautiful unfolding, dissolving game, while we're bringing in that newer version of ourselves, a version of our world coming in. So, and plus, the intensities are helping us purge our old stories, our old version of ourselves, our old beliefs, perceptions, ideas, old emotional charges, and all of that stuff. So sometimes it needs to be shaken up so deeply. The fact that you are reacting, this is just something as a guide, as long as you are reacting to whatever's playing out, you know that there is still an old pattern, an old story, an old program that is active. That is where you say, oh, okay, there's something there. Let me take a look at it. And I've talked about it in other episodes and in the workshops, how to, write it all out, follow the train back to see where it's coming from or what the story behind it, and you can let all that stuff go.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Question about power. I
Mhm.
missed the start of this session, but can we see power as a way of being rather than an action, i.e. an expression of love, sometimes wrathful, sometimes compassionate?
Well, true pure power is self-realization, self-navigation, and it is allowing the highest frequency within yourself to be emanated no matter what. And the empowerment is an absolute knowing you are the driver, navigator. Nothing has power over you. You have complete acknowledgement of your own free will, your own design. That's what empowerment is. Empowerment is not depending on others. It's not depending on systems. It is you being in charge of your creation, your navigation. So true empowerment is that realization. That emanates pure love no matter what. That pure love is transformative on all levels. So that's what power is about. It's self-realization, self-navigating. And it is you tapping into you.
That's it for today, honey.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for being part of this beautiful journey. Thank you for all the awesome questions and the work that you are doing, the journey that you're on. We're doing this together. I thank you once again for the contributors. We're more than welcome for their support along the way. If you feel to do so, no expectations on our end, no whatever you call it. There's no charge for any of this stuff. We are sharing it from our hearts because each one of us are willing to come forth to remember who we are, remember everything that's been shared, because you know it all within yourself and even more, and you're bringing that empowerment. We're doing this together, and together we are much more powerful. Together we are able to move things a lot more quickly, and it doesn't matter what is thrown at us, what is thrown through the collective, we dissolve it instantaneously because our vibration, our frequencies are at its peak, and is very powerful in this beautiful transformation that we are doing. So share this with as many people as you can. If you haven't subscribed and you're on YouTube, subscribe, get the notification bell. At least you'll know when the next episode will be coming up. Like I said, our next episode is scheduled for Tuesday. We will continue until the end of September before we'll be taking a break because of our relocation and resetting ourselves up where we're going to be. We don't know where yet, and that's that. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, just grateful to all this beautiful community we're a part of.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, till next time, go have a blast. Go be you in the most powerful way possible.